Hello, this is Tech Wiper, and it's been a very long time since I've played Turnabout Substitution on this channel. So the reason why I didn't upload in 2 years was because of some problem that was happening with a computer that caused the recording to freeze up each time a virus's window got popped up on there. Well, the problem's been fixed since, but I gave up on the series for a while. Anyways, last time in Turnabout Substitution, we find out that Judge Chambers went to the cemetery in the middle of the night on accident, and we also got Robert Erlenmeyer to speak correctly after showing him his late pet cat, only for 10 seconds before he fainted. This time, we are going to defend Robert Erlenmeyer, because we clearly know that he is not guilty for killing Judge Chambers. Let's get right into it. December 29th, 9:37 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 4. Oh yeah, and I'm also gonna try to make the voices between each of the characters a bit more distinguishable. Alright, so I guess for Apollo I'll just use my normal voice. This is it. The day I defend a serial killer for the murder of Judge. For Robert Erlenmeyer, I'm gonna do a broken Matt Hardy voice. Hello! Are you feeling better? I am Erlenmeyer, and I am fine! It's like deja vu all over again. I just needed less of not having water. See? He's broken Matt Hardy! It seems like there was more to that than just dehydration. Was that really it? What happened that night? Are you really the murderer? Who is? Miss Scarlet's in the study. Miss Scarlet? Who's that? But with the wrench, not the candlestick. Okay, so I guess that was a terrible broken Matt Hardy impression. I'll just call it the crazy, psychopath voice. Just what I was afraid of. Back to the Erlenmeyer we know and don't understand. Now for Rhea, gonna try my best for this female voice. Hey Polly, how's it going? As good as I expected. Ouch! Come on, Mr. Erlenmeyer, do you remember anything? Miss Peach wasn't there before. Really? Ouch. I don't know what I'm going to do, Rhea. I have no idea what's happened that night, or what I'm going to do at the trial. Every time I begin to think Erlenmeyer might be innocent. I'm bored. Let's play something else. Not that time yet, alright? That happens. I'm not even sure I can go through with this. Don't say that, Apollo! If there's one person who has to have hopes now, it's you! I suppose Erlenmeyer isn't in any mental condition to have such a feeling. I'm serious here, Apollo! You have to go the entire way! I'm sure you can prove Erlenmeyer innocent! After all, you've already found a few things wrong with the police's theory. Now's not the time to give up, Apollo. I suppose? That's the spirit. The trial's about to start. Yeah. Let's put an end to all this. For Judge's sake. December 29th, 10 o'clock a.m. District Courtroom number 4. Nice. Now for Gerald Strings. Guess I'll do an imitation of a stereotypical nerdy you'd see on TV. Court is in session for the trial of Robert Erlenmeyer. Are the defense and prosecution ready? The defense is ready, Your Honor. Now for Jessica Poole. What about... If by ready, you mean to lose, I have to agree. Mrs. Poole, you can insult the defense once we have finished our opening proceedings. This is a moment I've been waiting for since Arthur was murdered. This is the reason I returned to this country and restarted my career. The opportunity to put that monster Erlenmeyer behind bars was taken from me before. This is the final judgment, and you insult me by asking if I'm prepared? I take that as a yes. Now, if you'd like to get members of the jury, a madman murders a dozen innocent victims, maybe more, and gets treated like a priority patient in a cozy mental hospital. That's not exactly how I would describe Cluny Prison, but... However, he escapes from prison, makes a fool of the police, and on the following day, murders another man. A caring grandfather, a dear personal friend, and a judge that sentenced the defendant to prison. As he just showed us, people like this man, Robert Erlenmeyer, cannot repent. Not even a week after being freed, he committed another crime. He's a killing machine, and he will just kill again until he's put away. For good. Hey! You're talking like you're saying my client is guilty, but you don't have any evidence. She's going not just for a guilty verdict, but for a death sentence. Considering how much this case means to her, I'm sure she has something. In all honesty, whenever I was replaying this game for part 17, I think, of this walkthrough, I didn't remember much details. So, going blind all over again. I'm sure my first witness will sway even you, Lady Justice. The prosecution calls Detective Emma Skye to the stand. Now then, witness please. Witness? Oh, that wasn't a glitch. I was wondering... Oh man, this is even more broken than episode 9. What is the meaning of this? Hey, Polly, if a late witness is making full of isinoid, imagine how much she'll lose it if we can poke some holes in her theory. I called Detective Emma Skye to the stand. Where is she? Hey, sorry, hombres, but your princessa here is in another castillo. Jake Marshall? The former chief of police? It's Deputy Marshall, at least for now. Detective Marshall. I suppose that'll work too. So where's Detective Skye? Bambina is busy in some other work, and all the other deputies are tied up for the time being. The old dogs came and wrangled me back up and stuck me in the middle of this rodeo. I'm not even sure what finger pose I'm doing there. It was... I think it's meant to be a gun, but I broke my hand during the middle of it. Not like I have much better to do around these parts now, or around any parts. Considering your past, I doubt that they'd select you for, of all people, to fill in. Considering your past, I doubt they'd pick you to prospect this mine. He's got you there, Pool. But you don't see me making a big fuss of it. I know the case. I can guarantee the end of the day that Desperado and the defendant's chair will be riding into the sunset. The last he'll ever see. Fine. Testify about why the defendant is guilty. You got it, Jesse. Witness testimony. It had to be him, partner. Judge Chambers was trampled by his own steed in Forcebone Cemetery at around 1 a.m. The victim's trusty steed called the sheriffs, and at the same time, the old dog's flame was blown out. The only hombres at the boneyard were the victim and the defendant. Erlenmeyer left a trail as clear as day all over the keys and steering wheel, and that trailed to Erlenmeyer himself, dozing in the victim's blood. So that Desperado is guilty, or I'm not from Texas. So you admit it then? Would you? They'd shoot you for that in Texas. Oh, classic Jake Marshall with a Texas stereotype. Or maybe massacre you with a chainsaw. Oh, classic Creo with a pop culture references, I don't know. We're here to determine that the defendant is guilty, not that Detective Marshall is a poser. Just be careful, Jesse. A bull not part of the herd won't always play by the rules. I won't be surprised if you haven't heard, but this is my last trial. I have free reins to be as rough as I want with you. Hey, Polly! As long as the police and prosecutor are at each other's throats, they won't be at Erlenmeyer's. We can only hope. Seems like this'll be a wild ride. Never a dull moment here. I think it's about time this rodeo got started then. Cross-examination, you two. Actually, Your Honor, I'm doing the cross-examination. Erlenmeyer left a trail as clear as tail over the keys and steering wheel. Huh? Oh, they might mean his steed's keys, but I'll still press on that. Hold it! What sort of trail did Erlenmeyer leave? Fingerprints. They were crystal clear, so there's no doubt that they were Erlenmeyer's. But they could have been planted there. Objection! By whom? Only the victim and the defendant were at the scene. I'm not. Besides, it's not that easy to just go and plant fingerprints. And the only people who could have done that is the forensics team. Sorry, Emma. Can you accuse these innocent, hard-working police officers of tampering with evidence? Of course not. I won't let you. Mr. Justice, please don't go about making crazy accusations, especially against the police. Hey, who's the one you made the wild conjectures? I denied all the wild conjectures you were about to make. How can you know that? Settle down, you two! Erlenmeyer left those fingerprints as a much simpler explanation than someone planting them. And by Occam's razor, that is what's easiest to accept. So unless if either of you has any evidence refusing this theory, that is the court's opinion at this time. Your Honor, the prosecution only has evidence supporting that theory. The defense will keep you posted, Your Honor. Detective, where did you find the victim? What? I didn't expect a little jackalope to hop circles around you like that, Jesse. Just answer the question. Alright, that's pretty good, Fluff Tip. Oh gosh, it's an F. Oh gosh, I didn't read that. Oh well. Yeah, I have that feeling too. I hope Emma's okay. But for now, we need to concentrate on this guy. For a placeholder detective that just reinstated, he sure knows his stuff. He was a chief of police, you know. It's going to be tricky to find a contradiction in his testimony, but if Erlenmeyer is innocent, there has to be one. Alright, so it's actually contradiction time, isn't it? Let's see. Trampled by his own steed in the Forestbone Cemetery at around 1 a.m. Oh hey, there's actually an autopsy report this Why do I even bother to check? Hold it! By his steed, you mean his car, right? Seems like our little jackalope hasn't done his research. I'm just not used to your, manner of speech. You'd get caught in a snare with your first step in Texas, partner. Please answer the question, detective. Yes, it was the victim's car. But isn't that strange? After all, this isn't consistent with Erlenmeyer's usual modus operandi. I would say this proves the murder wasn't premeditated. Don't help too far, or too fast, Jack. Our little theory goes a bit like this. The victim was knocked unconscious by being banged against the car, which activated the alarm. Erlenmeyer had to rush, which is why he used a car instead of his usual method. Just because he didn't intend to kill him with the car doesn't mean he didn't intend to kill him at all. I have to say, you're doing better than I expected, Detective. It's what I do, Jesse. Hey, you fooling, said Jesse into your Jack. I wonder what I'll be. Don't catch his attention, and he hopefully won't find out. Some girls like rugged Western looks, you know? And some girls like guys grounded in reality. So, how did you know the time of death? Hold it! Just to clarify, you mean Chambers' car alarm alerted the police, which is how we know the time of death. You got good answers on your head, Jack. But how did Erlenmeyer know that the car alarm contacted the police? How many cars have that feature? Maybe when the police answered? If I were an outlaw, police wouldn't exactly be my favorite word. I see. Interesting. I must compliment you, antennas. That was most convincing. Make myself look incompetent to get to the prosecutor who underestimates me ploy. But I won't fall for it. Should I be quiet and keep the false respect, or speak up and take a little real respect? Please continue. Is there anyone else who could have possibly committed this crime? The only hombres at the boneyard who were the victim and the defendant. Hold it! How can you know that? Do you see many people at the graveyard at 1 a.m.? I certainly don't. I don't either. Of course that would be because I didn't wander around graveyards at 1 in the morning. Although there is a slim possibility someone else was there. There were no traces of anyone else out there. No fingerprints, no blood, nothing. It is the defense's job to back up their claim of a third person. But of course, they don't have the evidence to do that. Detective, continue your testimony. How do you know that's simple? She didn't even let me respond. She is completely right, but still. Hold it! So, Erlenmeyer was found unconscious. That's what I said. So, why was he unconscious? I reckon from the shock of killing the old dog. This is starting to sound like 2 days ago. But that doesn't make sense. If he is a sadistic serial killer and Mr. Chambers was his 13th victim, why would he have a reaction like that? You're thinking about this the wrong way. He wasn't shocked because he couldn't believe what he had done. He was shocked because he realized he would get caught. The reason Erlenmeyer was able to escape punishment before was because he hid the victim's body, destroying a lot of evidence. But with the police on his way, and he realized he didn't have time to cover up his crime. He was used to everything according to his plan. He couldn't handle the stress of that unexpected factor. That sounds plausible enough for me. Oh, so he pressed every statement. Mr. Justice, your cross-examination has gone on for some time now. Do any facts in its testimony strike you as unusual or contradictory? If they do, you better speak now and make your case. Otherwise, we should just move on. I concur, Your Honor. Gosh, this early and you're already on the spot? Nothing is jumping out at me or as being contradictory. But if this testimony stands, it will almost certainly mean Erlenmeyer's the killer. If I'm not aggressive now, it might be too late afterwards. What do I do? I say we go back to the testimony. I think. I may have found something wrong with the testimony. And presents it already! Oh gosh, that was odd. Very well. Return to the cross-examination. Well, didn't you say there was a contradiction? Yeah. Even I can tell you've loaded your gun with blanks, partner. Please, Mr. Justice, if there are no contradictions, just move on. This is a tough decision. What do I do? Yet, I'm gonna go see what happens if I move on. Let's move on. Very well. Thank you very much for the testimony, Detective. It seems we do not need you to testify on any of the other matters. A true sheriff never leaves the stand, except to get a good old Lunchland steak. Lunchland. Angel Star is the best cook here. Adios. See you, space cowboy. Now then, I believe the prosecution has... I guess that's the original intent here? Okay. Now then, I believe the prosecution has a second witness? Yes, Your Honor. No, actually. What? But you told the court Erlenmeyer's psychiatrist would testify about his motive. Well, yes, but it seems she had a death in the family at the last minute and couldn't come. I sincerely apologize for this, Your Honor. However, although this is not as good as her professional testimony, I believe the common knowledge is that the victim sentenced the defendant to jail is enough of a motive. I see, so there's no second witness? No, Your Honor. Therefore, the prosecution is forced to rest its case. However, I believe I provided sufficient proof of the defendant's guilt, which the defense failed to refute. What? So it was a trap that I completely fell for! Motive: sentencing him to jail. Opportunity: their meeting in the Senate degree. Decisive evidence: the fingerprints and the condition in which Erlenmeyer was found. Erlenmeyer's guilt is obvious! And I believe we reached a conclusion. Members of the jury, you have seen and heard all the evidence and arguments of the attorneys. Now I will instruct you on the law. I'm sorry, Robert. Hold it! It was me. What?! Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, Polly! I'm sorry, Miss Bull, but you won't get me this time. If Mr. Justice had known there would be no more testimonies after Detective Marshall's, I'm certain he would not have given up so easily. Good on you, Strings. We are dealing with men's lives. The ends do not justify the means. First time I've heard someone say that in an Ace Attorney series, even though it's not canon. Honestly, Mr. Justice, I'm disappointed you didn't object. If we are going to have a fair trial, you must have more professionalism. And I mean from both of you. I'll give you one last chance, Mr. Justice. Call a witness or present evidence, something that'll let me believe in your client's innocence, or else the jury will make their verdict for real. And I believe we all know that they will decide at this point. I understand, Your Honor. That's just so close. But I can't relax yet. If I mess this up, the case is over for real. I need something. Anything that can show Erlenmeyer's innocent. So am I going to use evidence or witness? The psychological report of Robert Erlenmeyer. Actually, I haven't seen this yet. Okay. Oh gosh. Can I at least? Nope. Alright. See, this is a problem here. This button just doesn't work. The test was determined that the patient is particularly unable to distinguish reality from fiction. He has trouble realizing where he is, what he is doing, and why he is doing it. This, coupled with his incoherent speech with some recurring words and syllables, and delusional beliefs, is consistent with a diagnosis of a whatever that is. Research into the patient's background shows he did not witness any murder, rape, or accident involving any of his relatives, and had a relatively happy childhood. Consequently, one must look into less traditional sources of trauma, i.e. events that adults usually forget, but that children can misinterpret. That is potentially devastating. Something. Darn, it clicked back again. The only such event considered is so far that would fit the patient's cognition goes back to his 8th year. According to his mother, his parents had brought him a cat named Charles, of which he was particularly fond. On a Saturday evening in winter, the patient was crossing the street with his cat, and when they suddenly heard a black car driving with something. It clicked back again. Strangely, the patient was fast enough to avoid the vehicle while the animal was hit, and did not survive. His mother remembers scolding him for taking the cow dog for a walk alone. She also says that when she and his father were burying Charles in the garden, her son accidentally saw the scene from his bedroom. For days after this incident, the patient did not leave his bed and barely spoke to his family. The only words uttered were, "He died because of me. I killed him, Mom." It was most speculated that it is at this moment that he first discovered his destructive impulses, and began thinking of himself as killer. However, mentioning the incidents, the patient has not elicited the expected reaction. That's all. Okay. Oh hey, this is a Phoenix Wright fan game, so let's try calling a witness. I'd like to call a witness, Your Honor. Here, this laboratory mouse. Just kidding. What about his cat? Nope. What about Robert Erlenmeyer himself? Take that! The defense calls Robert Erlenmeyer to the stand. He may not be an eyewitness to the crime, but there's still someone who can give us an account of what happened. The defendant? The defense believes his testimony will lead us to a very different truth.
Objection!
Objection! Of course it will. The defendant will just lie and say anything to defend himself. Objection! I've already talked to him, and I think he's just as clueless as we are on what happened that night.
Objection!
Objection! We know exactly what happened that night. Erlenmeyer ran over Chambers with his own car. Objection! If Erlenmeyer was going to lie, don't you think he would have already given the police an alibi or tried to have explained himself by now? Objection, tennis, anyone?
Objection!
Actually, I hate to admit it, but that's a good point. However, as that may be, he is not exactly in a state to testify. I believe there's no harm in at least trying, Miss Poole. Let's give this a shot. Please bring the defendant to the stand. Please state your name and occupation. Apollo Justice. I'm a defense attorney. Oh, way! This is a complete waste of time. You referring to you, not me. Robert Erlenmeyer. Murderer. What? Then again, maybe I spoke too soon. But that's what Miss Plum has been saying all this time. I think he just called Poole fat. It's what everyone has been saying. I don't care what other people said. Are you really a murderer? Mayday! Mayday! Did you kill Judge Chambers? No. Finally. I think my life expectancy just got cut in half. Do you know why we asked you to testify? Yes. Cut the act already and answer the questions normally. Jessica Poole. I prefer billiards. May I have fruit salad for lunch? No. If it's an act, he's the best actor I've ever seen. Mr. Erlenmeyer, please testify about the night of the crime. Why fruit salad? I was playing billiards, but I can't tell you where. I was probably asleep when it happened, after all. My dream was strange. I then woke up in the graveyard with Judge dead. I have no idea how I got there or what happened. All in all, the fruit salad was very tasty. Thank you very much for your testimony, Mr. Erlenmeyer. You may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Justice. Cross-examination time, go! What happened? Oh no, the fruit salad was very tasty. Hold it! So, oh gosh, not again. So, what made the salad so good? It was chewy. Ew! Erlenmeyer's testimony makes no sense. Just bear with it, Polly. I'm sure you'll find something. Yeah. What's with Rhea's shirt? You just now notice that? Why can't she just have regular sleeves? Oh. I guess it's kind of normal for girls to show their belly? Not so sure. Please don't get sidetracked, Mr. Justice. And I bet Strings would be able to command him more authority if he looked more like Marshall. Hey, Polly! Hello? What? We can hear you. Ah! Do you think I'd give you a second chance? No, Your Honor. I think you look great. Forget it, Mr. Justice. Just continue your cross-examination. Oops. Don't forget that Earl Meyer is your client, Polly. If you find a contradiction, think it through and make sure it doesn't hurt your case. Maybe. But if there's nothing, he'll get a guilty verdict for sure. Considering it can't get much worse, I think I'll just need to point out any and all contradictions I might find. Maybe at this statement, I'll need to present to the chewing gum. Objection! Your Honor, there is an... You don't sound very sure, Mr. Justice. I'm afraid I'm going to have to penalize you. Dang it! Oh wait, he doesn't make sense unless we show him his cat, but let's just see what happens anyway. Here's your cat. Never mind. Hold it! There's plenty to ask about here. Why did he say you were probably asleep? Because he can't prove he was. We know he wasn't, since he was awake murdering— Objection! I was asking the witness, Mrs. Poole. I thought I was asleep, but the noises seemed real. That seems like an important information. Please add it to your testimony. I thought I was asleep, but the noises seemed real. Hold it! There were noises? From the fruit salad, the corn had ears, and the potato has eyes. But, what noises did the fruit salad make? Heavy breathing, something like a siren. Someone saying please. Please? Ah, you probably heard police. This would imply that he heard the car alarm and subsequent phone call. So, he would have only been half asleep. Why does that matter? If there was a third person at the scene, he might have heard his voice. Mr. Owenmeyer, did you hear anyone else speak in your dream? No. Well then... Really? Yes. Congratulations, Antennas. You just had the defendants admit there was no third person at the scene. Truly brilliant. I could have done it better than myself. Oh, wait! Just because you didn't hear anyone else speak doesn't mean no one else was there. That's not the point. You are the one disputing the police's theory, so you are the one that needs to present evidence. Whether you fail to prove something in it or prove it isn't true, the result is the same. A guilty verdict. Don't get carried away, Poole. We still need to finish examining his testimony. Not that I think it'll be of much use. Please continue, witness. I'm surprised no one pointed out that corn is grain and potato are vegetables. Alright, let's try asking for a different statement. There's plenty to ask about here. What did you dream about? It was dark. I was trapped, and the ostriches were fighting. Ostriches. That seems like important information. Please add it to your testimony. Hold it! Ostriches? Yes. We were playing Scrabble, and they started to fight. Struthio Camelus for triple score bonus. Let me guess. You're going to come up with some Freudian... Hold on. On the upside, I'm learning a lot of new words in this playthrough. Where Scrabble is his childlike purity and the ostriches are his innocence, right? Obviously, Scrabble is wealth and ostriches are fear. No, I was going to point out the obvious contradiction. If it was dark, how could he see the ostriches fighting? I'm afraid you made some poor choices in your lifetime, Apollo. It was a dream. Right. And then I speak to myself and everybody vanishes. Mr. Justice, I will never get that minute off my life back. Please bring us back to reality, Mrs. Poole. Okay, let's try asking him this. Where were you while you were falling asleep? I was just doing things I had to, like playing with the mice. The usual. That seems like important information. Let's add it to the testimony like the others. Well, I have a feeling that the voice expectations I had for this episode kind of drifted off a bit, you know? Is this one of your half-truth, half-nonsense things, or is it just all nonsense? How should I know? That helps tremendously. Mr. Justice. Even if you cannot understand what I'm saying, I never lie. Mr. Erlenmeyer. Offer not valid Wednesday through Monday. We're closed Tuesday. It's like trying to catch a wind in a net. Holly? Yeah?
Never mind, do you have a tissue?
Sure. Are you okay?
Yeah, just need to blow my nose. Thanks.
What was she going to tell me? Let's try the mice, alright? Objection! Mr. Erlenmeyer, when you mentioned mice, do you by any chance mean these? How did you? I've done my homework. As the court can plainly see, this is a mouse. However, there are two interesting characteristics of this mouse. First, it is infected with a rare virus. And second, it was found in a very specific location. Erlenmeyer's old biology classroom at Larry Butts High School. We can determine from Erlenmeyer's reaction just now that this is the same mouse in his testimony. So if he had been spending quality time with his mouse, he had to have been in that classroom. And that doesn't change anything. It changes everything! I have a piece of evidence that, when coupled with this discovery, will lead to a radical change in this court's interpretation of the events that night. Ambitious today, aren't we? This pin... If you're going to work up all this hype, you'll need to be prepared for the consequences for when you don't deliver. Right, Your Honor? Yes, if you were just bluffing, a simple penalty won't satisfy me. Not a problem. I have just what I needed. If Erlenmeyer was really in the classroom, they're going to need to deal with this. If Erlenmeyer was really in the classroom, need to deal with... Oh yeah, the sheet music. Take that! Seems like your elixir of life is rather a poison of death for your client. Wait, what? I really thought you had something. I do! Let me try again! That actually seemed like the right answer. Wait, what about this? There we go. We all had faulty assumptions from the start, and those assumptions stemmed from these pictures. Yesterday, a janitor at Larry Butts High School reported that the biology classroom had been vandalized overnight, with obscene pictures everywhere and a page of music assigned to Charles Darwin. In other words, he stumbled upon a crime scene for a mysterious bus killing. Get to the point. While investigating, we quickly assumed that it was the work of an imposter, because the condition of the classroom contradicts a certain piece of evidence. And that would be this, right? Take that! That's a pretty hefty file. Which part are you referring to? That is... victim data. As far as I'm concerned, there might as well be only one word printed on this page. And what word would that be? Penalty! Oh, pretty small. Alright. Case summary. If the court will look at the case summary page, it'll see that the pictures of the victim were found at each crime scene, but the pictures in the classroom were of Robert Erlenmeyer, the supposed killer. The logical conclusion is that it was simply an imposter, as you said yourself, Yes, that's what I thought at first too. However, at the time, I had no idea that Rowan was actually in the classroom that night. But once we accept that fact, the imposter theory is no longer possible. If Rowan was there, he is the killer. Would he really let the imposter do his work? Quite badly at that. He obviously did it to throw the investigation off track. Would he really do something like that?
Hey, Polly! Do you know why I wear headphones whenever I shop at hardware stores?
Because you want to listen to music?
Because I don't want to listen to the lies they tried to sell.
Man, real?
And that's exactly what this is. Polly, it's time to put on your thinking headphones.
Yeah. Glad to see we agree with that. Mrs. Poole! I'm sorry, but there is a much more sensible explanation for the pictures. Robert Erlenmeyer. Well, this case is strange, so... Yeah, he brought the wrong photos. Robert Erlenmeyer simply made a mistake and brought the wrong photos with him. Come on, Nintendo, do you really think after a dozen murders he would make that mistake now? Plus, considering he had just broken out of prison, it seems unlikely that he'd access to these photos at all. Oh. Also, if you're going to say he accidentally brought them, you need proof that he did. Please think more carefully the next time you stand in court, Mr. Justice. Well... Nope. Okay, he was the intended victim. Robert Erlenmeyer was the intended victim. On the night of December 27th, Robert Erlenmeyer was not preparing to kill Judge Chambers. He was about to be killed by the real mysterious bus killer. The fact that every detail of the crime scene, besides photos, matches the serial killer's usual MO proves it wasn't just a copycat. But the photographs match up if Erlenmeyer really is the intended victim. Not only is Erlenmeyer innocent of this murder, but also every other mysterious bus murder. What? That's utterly, completely insane! If my theory is so insane, then come and disprove it. I've done it. I've turned the case around! That's not the way things work, Rookie. I don't need to prove that theory. However, I can and will show you how ludicrous this is. First of all, Erlenmeyer has already confessed to the crime. He's mentally unstable. Or is he? You can't ignore the fact that he's confessed to the crime multiple times, and was declared guilty for those crimes in a court of law. Plus, he failed to present a single piece of evidence that incriminates anyone besides the defendant. Even you should have the mental capacity to remember that you couldn't prove a third person was at a cemetery. Well, for now. Do you expect us to wait for you to receive an epiphany from God? Either you can prove it, or you can't. And finally, if Erlenmeyer was the intended victim, why is he alive and well while Judge Chambers is in the next world? And why was Erlenmeyer found in Chambers' blood with his fingerprints on the steering wheel? Why indeed? Why did he turn up in Forest Bone Cemetery with when the last scene he remembers? It's being with his mice in the biology classroom. He went there to kill Judge Chambers, of course. But how could he have known that Judge Chambers would be there? That would depend on why the victim himself was there. Precisely. And the victim was at the cemetery at the time. By chance. It was just a big accident. Accident? That's right. Chambers had intended to visit the cemetery that afternoon, for it was the anniversary of his brother's death. However, when he got home from the trial, he accidentally mistook his Apophorics for his tranquilizer pills. As a result, he slept until about midnight. Panicked, he rushed to the cemetery in the middle of the night. Although someone might have anticipated that Chambers would visit the graveyard, there's no way they would guess he'd mix up his pills. What's your point? My point is that the killer couldn't have known Chambers would be in the graveyard at the time. You already said that, but it doesn't make a difference. In the previous episode, we said that exact same thing, but we talked it over with Rhea first. It's just a lot better if the characters uncover these clues from themselves in court themselves, so there won't be any repetition here. Whether Erlenmeyer planned it, or if it was by chance, they met and Erlenmeyer killed Chambers. You can't deny that simple truth.
Hey, Polly. Do you know why I hate playing billiards on a pool table?
Because you're a stickler for syntax?
No, you idiot! It's because I wear my headphones! Because it just isn't right. Just like this.
Yeah. It's not as simple as you may think, Mrs. Poole. It raises an important issue, and that issue is... Good question. What about the motive? It's a motive. This means Erlenmeyer didn't specifically plan to meet and kill Chambers. Why would Erlenmeyer do so once he got to the cemetery? He's a serial killer. He doesn't need a motive to kill anyone. Of course, if there is anyone Robert Erlenmeyer has a motive to kill, it's Judge Chambers. Yes, that explanation works quite nicely. Erlenmeyer killed Judge because he sentenced him to prison. That's a motive we all assume this time. But does it really work? Well, Erlenmeyer is a bit mentally unstable, so I'm gonna say it doesn't work! Now, that motive might seem logical at first glance, but upon closer inspection, it doesn't work at all. The idea that Erlenmeyer wished to kill Judge Chambers in an act of revenge, it contradicts an event that happened at a certain time and place. What event are you talking about? This event occurred at... Well, I didn't expect to see this.
Take that!
Take that! On the morning of December 25th, at 1 a.m., in Erlenmeyer's cell, Erlenmeyer and Chambers stood face to face, as we all know very well. If Erlenmeyer truly wanted to kill Chambers, he would have done so 3 days ago when he had the perfect opportunity. Not necessarily. 2 nights ago, Erlenmeyer and Chambers were alone at the same time and place. One of them would wound up dead. For real this time. So why was he killed? There had to be a reason. She's right. There has to be a reason why Judge was killed. Especially if Erlenmeyer was the intended victim in Joy Sarah's accident. But I have no idea what it was.
Hey, Polly? Do you know I always put strawberry chewing gum and lemon chewing gum in the same box?
Wait a second. Even though I saw this while looking for thumbnails of this video,
they're connected somehow.
They're freaking connected! Because you're weird?
Because I want to experience both sides of the chewing gum world. Because I want to see the big picture. Recall everything you know about Erlenmeyer and about Judge, and the truth will become clear.
Of course. Miss Poole, you thought you had me, didn't you? Well, you don't, since I now know the real reason for Chambers' murder. What? Chib think he shouldn't have. Chib mistaken for someone else. What the actual heck? I have a strong feeling it's this. The mysterious bus killer was compared to an animal many times. Mrs. Poole, what do certain animals do when they're threatened? Run? Some do, but others attack. Mercilessly. What's with the tone you took on Lady Justice? It's something I just happened to do. If you have some grandiose speech prepared, just skip it and get to the point. I'm sure the jurors would like to get home already. Why the murderer killed Chambers because Chambers threatened him in some way? Threatened? Because he saw something he shouldn't have. Get to the point, Antanas! What is this something you're talking about? Attempt suspected murder, of course. You know that Erlenmeyer was the intended victim from the biology classroom? We can conclude from that, and from Erlenmeyer's and Chambers' presence at the crime scene, that Chambers was murdered because he saw the real killer about to murder Erlenmeyer. What?
Objection!
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 Wow, double ejection there.
You've gone back to your ridiculous third-person nonsense. We've already established there was no one else at the cemetery. You have that fanciful narrative, but all it boils down to is the presence of a third person. Are you really going to say that there was a third person at the scene who killed the victim, framed the defendant, and left without leaving any trace whatsoever? I call arguments like that bullcrap. Please believe me, defense. I have tangible evidence that proves Erlenmeyer is guilty. You have a fictional story based on absolutely nothing without even circumstantial evidence. I believe Erlenmeyer is an alien before I believe your story. A fictional story with no evidence. How many holes are there in your story? Well, that was phrased weirdly for me. This mysterious bust crime scene that proves Erlenmeyer was the intended victim? What about the fact motive has fallen apart? You said it yourself. There has to be a reason for this murder. You've got some nerve, Rookie. Motive is only necessary when you're trying to challenge the established truth. When you have other decisive evidence on either side, it becomes secondary. I believe that you are the one who mentioned before that motive is one essential component for a guilty verdict. So we don't know why Erlenmeyer killed Chambers. So what? We don't know why he killed a dozen other people. And that didn't stop the guilty verdict. Maybe that's been the problem the entire time. Maybe Erlenmeyer thought it was too cold, or didn't like the color of Judge's car, or the model. Maybe he had a sudden impulse to kill that he didn't have 3 days ago for whatever reason. Everyone does strange, inexplicable things. Can you imagine what it would be like for someone as unstable as Erlenmeyer? So true, I have to offset all plates I see by 2 degrees, or I can't stand to look at them. Moving on, the point is, we can always find something, except you. Admit it already, you're stuck. You're just throwing out wild guesses at this point. Wild guesses, huh? I'll do you one better! Not denying it? Tell us the identity of this third person. Give us proof of his existence! If you can't do those 2 things, I don't see a point in humoring your wild theory any longer. Do you, Your Honor? No, I don't, Mr. Justice. You've been continually trying to point out the inconsistencies in Mrs. Booth's arguments. Successfully, a few times. But that's all meaningless if you can't come up with your own solid argument in the end. It's possible that there was a third person at the scene, but it's also possible that a unicorn appeared and mauled the victim to death. There's no escaping the question this time. Tell me who the real murderer is, and a good reason to believe you, or I will turn this case over to the jury right now. I'm cornered again. I don't have time to think or improvise. He's really serious. I honestly don't have an answer to them now. I could go with my first hunch, but I don't truly have the evidence, and I'm not sure it's right anymore. What do I do? Your Honor, Please hurry up, Mr. Justice. I don't mean to be cruel, but even my patience has its limits. Give it up, alrighty? There's no use delaying it anymore. But, please, Your Honor. It's not that I have something to say, it's just that I need some time to fit my idea together. Mr. Justice, I think you had plenty of time already. I know, but... Oh my gosh! Mr. Justice, what's that look on your face? I don't believe it, but... Spit it out already! I know who did it. And I have incriminating evidence. Really, Polly? Yeah. What? Impossible! You better not be bluffing this... wow. Gerald String's voice changed periodically here. I guess I'll go with the cool narrator voice.
You better not be bluffing this time, Mr. Justice, for a client's sake. First, I'll give the name, then the evidence. Here comes justice! Okay, I think I got the evidence here. This gum here that Rhea accidentally let slip out of her mouth. Alright. It's you! And the evidence is this here.
Polly, what are you doing?
Trying to accuse your own assistant just to stall for time. Never thought I'd see the day when a defense attorney stoops so low. No, Are you serious about this, Mr. Justice? Yes! If you are so serious, why did you present nonsensical evidence? It doesn't prove anything!
I helped you in court before! I even put aside that Earl and Meyer killed my brother and helped you today! Think about all the times I urged you on today. About my headphones! And my dislike of billiards! I can't believe you did something like this! Can't you have thought about it for one little nanosecond before opening your mouth? Apollo Justice! I'm fed now!
Well, she's gone. Rhea, wait! Mr. Justice, you can settle your own personal conflicts at the end of this trial, which I'm sure will be in just a moment. Objection! Objection! Get back to her, Rhea. I mean it. Mr. Justice, give me a chance to explain myself, Your Honor. Please.
What is it, Apollo? It better be good.
It will be, Rhea, I must say. For such a wonderful liar, you were pretty sloppy today. Earlier today, you mentioned putting strawberry lemon gum in the same box. I didn't give that comment a second thought. Until now. Chewing gum? You're basing a murder accusation off an offhand remark about chewing gum? Could the coincidence be any more obvious here? I have right here 2 pieces of chewing gum found next to the victim's car. One is strawberry flavored, the other lemon. I believe that matches up exactly with what you said earlier, Rhea.
So what? That doesn't prove anything.
We can assume they came from the same box since they were so close to each other. How many people do you think put different flavors of chewing gum in the same box, let alone strawberry and lemon? I'd have to say, not many.
So what?
Are you really going to deny that these pieces of gum are yours, Rhea?
Apollo, when did I ever deny anything like that? I said I didn't prove anything. I didn't say they were mine.
But they are yours. That's basically admitting it.
Think, Paul. I suppose I gave you a bit too much credit. Here, have some more heavy-duty thinking headphones. Remember that card I gave you when we first met?
Yeah, I think I have it right here.
Do you mind reading what it says on there?
Rhea Witz, funeral director.
That's right, funeral director. I dropped my gum on one of my many visits to that cemetery. There's nothing more to it.
Oh, yes, there is.
What kind of game are you playing, Apollo?
A Pyrite version .9880. Couldn't resist. It's called finding the truth. Even with my bracelet gone, I can still tell she's hiding something. You dropped those pieces of gum at the time of the crime. And I can prove it. With this weather report. Is this what? Yeah, it is. The evidence is the weather.
What does that mean?
First you say she's a murderer because of gum, now because of the weather. I suppose if she sneezes in the next minute, that'll be decisive proof. Let me explain. The pieces of gum were covered in snow when I found them, so they were dropped before it stopped snowing. However, they were not at, say, the bottom layer of snow, meaning they were drops after it started snowing. This weather report says it was snowing around 12:30 to 1:10 a.m., and it hasn't snowed since. This means that the pieces of gum have to be dropped between those times, the time of the murder. You just admitted that these are yours, Rhea. This can only mean one thing. You were at the scene of the crime at the time of the crime. You've been hiding something, and this is it. You are the third person, the one who killed Judge Chambers. You better have a good explanation for this, young lady.
Fine, I admit it.
Huh?
But I've been lying to protect you, Apollo. You have to believe me.
Rhea, yet. You're admitting to the crime.
As a person at the crime scene, judge being murdered because he saw something, you've been right. About a lot of things, Apollo. However, there's something you're wrong about.
And what's that?
You said several times that Erlenmeyer was the intended victim. But that's not true. At night, the intended victim was me.
Wait, what?
I was just too scared to say anything. I'm sorry, Apollo.
You think I'm gonna fall for this? You're stupider than I thought.
If you think you can catch me,
You're stupider than I thought. And that seems something. This is certainly a shocking turn of events. However, it seems we have a new eyewitness to the murder. Miss Woods, please come up to the witness stand.